Hello, it's Joe Glines, and today we're going to cover just a little more basics in web scraping with AutoHotkey. And in my first example, I've come to my my page here on the-Automator.com, went to this web scraping right here as an example of what to pull from. And so right now my web scraping file, my syntax file for AutoHotkey is blank. I am using, and there'll be a link for it somewhere, but I'm using my script writer. So this will help me write my syntax, right? So I'm going to, because I already have an IE window open, I'm going to choose to get pointer to IE and IE window. And if you're not familiar with this stuff, I cover that stuff in another video, so I'm not going to go into that. But basically, this is a function that'll go get the pointer to an open IE window, and then here I call that function, I store it in this PWB value. And the very first thing I'll do, so let's say you're starting this out and nothing is working, right? You do message boxes and you return nothing. Like if I just say right now, message box percent PWB, right? This actually shouldn't. I'm going to save this, reload it. Oh, you know what? I took out my some of my constant singlet force. I have a default startup file that I usually use, and I had thought I would simplify things and remove it, but I forgot about that one setting. So now I'm going to save this, reload it, and do a message box, and of course nothing comes up. Maybe it's not obvious, but this PWB is actually an object. So if I change this to say is object and put the PWB in it, it should be a 1. There we go. Now a 1 means true. Right, now let's say I had called this SPWB. When I rerun this, save it, and launch it, it returns a 0. So it's saying is object. Is this thing an object? Right now it's not an object because I stored it into SPWB. But if I change it back, I can see it is a 1, and that it is an object. So that's one of the first things I'll do, right? Is just say, hey, you know what? Is this thing actually even an object, right? Because if it's not an object, hey, something's wrong, right? I've done something somewhere. The very next thing I'll do is, like I'll comment this out, and let me add another one. So message box pwb.location URL. Now, oops, I'm going to save this, reload it, and launch it. This should return to you the current URL of whatever IE browser it's grabbing. Now, let's say I had multiple IE windows open. So let me open up another one here, and I'll go to YouTube on it. It's wanting me to sign in, but who cares? So it grabbed the last. This function will get the last last active instance of IE. So I think if I actually come back to here, rerun it, now it gets this one. So that is sometimes you don't realize you had another IE window open somewhere. It's getting the wrong window, and that's why you're trying to do all this web scraping, but it's not getting what you wanted. Well, hey, you know, genius, you're actually getting it from the wrong page. So that is another very quick, easy thing I will do is say, you know what, first, is this thing an object? If it is, is it coming to the right page? Because if this comes back with nothing, which is often that'll happen. Let's say I had forgotten to do this, right? I forgot to store PWB in a variable. It returns nothing, and I can spend hours trying to troubleshoot this when really, this would have been my first clue right here. When I do this and this returns a 0, so this message box right here for is object is a 0. Hey, there's no way this part can work because I don't actually have an object in PWB. So let's get past that. Now let's say that both of these, and I'm going to save this, reload it, and launch it. You can see, yeah, it gets the right one. Okay, I'll comment that out. Both of those are coming back with what I would expect. Now I'm going to use this IWB2 Learner tool, and to help me understand, like here's a list, and this is an ordered list, and that is boy, is that really right? That's the fifth ordered list? I suppose so. So back in my script, I'm going to say message box, and now I'm going to get from the page, and I'm going to use the tag name because that's not an ID, and that'll be LI, and this is going to be 5, and now here I'm going to change this to be you know what? Actually, I'm going to copy this whole line. This one I'll leave at value. This one I'm going to change to inner text. And let me copy it again. And outer HTML. So hopefully, this very first one. Okay. Oh, and actually, I'm glad I left this open here. So see this li5, see this up here, li5. That's how I got, this is the 5th item in the array. Actually, it's the 6th, I think, because there's a 0-based index. So it's the 6th one, but just bear with me here. That's how I got this li5 right here. Okay. See this here where it says inner text? Notice how this message box lines up exactly with what is here. That is what I accessed, was the inner text. But let's say it was actually some other thing. Sometimes it's value, and you'll notice in this IWB2 Learner, I'm going to call this Learner tool, because I can't say that. Let's say the Learner tool, sometimes it'll say value here instead of inner text, and you have to make sure you grab the right thing, otherwise it won't pull back what you expect. These are more often than not, I'm no HTML DOM expert, but they're more likely it's one of these 3 items. So let's go back to my message box. I'm going to hit OK. Notice it returned a 0 here for value, right? So it still returns something, and that can be very confusing. But the next one, it returns, which is what is down here, is the outer HTML. And what's interesting is, there is actually one more, if I recall. There's the inner HTML. And so let me run through these. There's that one, that one, that one. Now the next one. So notice the li. There's a li here, but in this one I don't have the li. So basically, the inner HTML looks at that element and strips out the thing it's in, the li from both ends here, but it leaves all the other stuff. So sometimes you want to basically exclude the tag it's encoded in. Or inside. I rarely use this because usually I either want that text or I want the full thing, and I'm going to parse it. I don't want this, but hey, you know what? It's good to know. So that is a 4th item that you might use. But this outer HTML, I don't think this ever changes in the Learner tool. However, let me show you an example here. Whereas we go back to the page, and we're going to drag this onto here. Oh, no, that actually still says inner text. Let me try this one. Value. So see this value right here? Notice this changed to value instead of inner text, and that is when you'd want to say, give me the value of what's there. Now let's see if we put something in here. I think I was on that one. There, now that value is dog, right? And now let's see, this is input 0. So let's go back to here. I'm going to change this very first one to input 0, and I'm going to show the inner text where, oh sorry, it's behind this. Notice this is blank, okay? That's because I'm saying inner text. Well, look at this. This is value. So if I actually, I'm just going to say that I'm going to change this one to value. Now it gets dog, right? So just remember this value here, whatever's listed here is what you want to make sure, if you're grabbing from this one, is what you have here. And that's the property that you're getting. The outer HTML, like I said, doesn't really change, but those will change, and it can just be very confusing. You can waste a lot of time looking at that and not realize that it's just that you had the wrong. You should have had inner text when you wanted value, or vice versa. So that does come up. It's easy to not realize and to waste a lot of time when you don't have to. But that's it. Thanks.